Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another empowering episode of The Unstoppable Singer. I'm Danielle Tucker. I'm a singer, a vocal coach, and a lead singer with the Mighty Untouchables band. And the Unstoppable Singer Show is a live interview style show where we dive into the lives of real professional singers who have achieved incredible feats in their careers. And we explore the challenges and triumphs that come with a life under the bright lights, and we learn what being unstoppable truly means to them. So, if you're passionate about music and the stories of remarkable artists, then you're in the right place. Stick around because we're going to jump right into it. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to have the sensational LaVance Colley as our esteemed guest. LaVance has masterfully woven the soul-stirring essence of gospel, the boundless versatility of jazz, and the heartfelt emotion of R&B to create a distinctive style that is uniquely his own. With a voice that exudes passion and a stage presence that captivates all who witness it, LaVance's musical journey is nothing short of awe-inspiring. As an accomplished vocalist, he has graced the stage with legendary artists such as Beyonce, John Legend, Shawn Mendes, Pharrell Williams, Diana Ross, Lizzo, and many more esteemed names within the industry. His collaboration with director Robert Townsend and Andy Grammer further solidifies his status as an artist of immense talent and versatility. Notably, his voice has been featured on the hit TV show Dancing with the Stars, where he worked under the musical direction of illustrious talents like Ray Chu, Ricky Minor, and Buster and Shavony, all Grammy Award winners for their work on the Prince of Egypt soundtrack. Additionally, he has lent his vocals as backing vocalist on The Voice, leaving an indelible mark on the music world. One of LaVance's most remarkable roles is as the lead vocalist and MC on tour with the international sensation group Postmodern Jukebox. His live performances and studio sessions are nothing short of spectacular, making him a highly sought-after collaborator among fellow artists within the industry. So let's bring him on right now. Hello, my friend.
Hi, Danielle.
How are you?
I'm good. I always feel weird when somebody introduces me because it's like all the accolades. It always makes me feel like, stop it.
You're like, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to stop that. Well, you deserve it. You truly deserve it. You are a remarkable talent, and we're super honored to have you here with us tonight. So let's just jump right in and tell us, what do you have going on these days? What's happening with you?
Well, I just actually got back off the road with Postmodern Jukebox. I basically got back June 1st. Mm-hmm. And then I had my most recent thing that I just did was last Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday, I did a show with this company called Music. Mm-hmm. And they basically, it's kind of like a concert / history informative class type of thing. Mm. And it's free. It was free to the public, and it was sold out each show. And we talk about this particular show was all about the people who went to the famous, I believe it's Thomas Jefferson High School, mm-hmm. which a famous high school in Central Avenue where lots of famous celebrities went to, like Etta James, the Platters, the Penguins. A lot of people came there and did classes there, tutorials, and met people like Nat King Cole and all these other great people. So we basically did a concert and did a tribute to all of those wonderful people who went there. So I sang a song by Etta James. I sang Something's Got a Hold on Me, which went really well. I sang a Ray Charles song. I sang Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. What else did I sing? Oh, and Ain't Misbehaving by Fats Waller, which is, I need to add that song to my repertoire. That's a pretty good song. You know, sometimes you sing a song, you never really do it, but then you're like, oh, I should add that song to the list, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great moment. And also my co-star in that show was Miss Cy Smith, who is an incredible singer, who actually used to be a background singer as well. She used to sing background for Whitney Houston and all kind of other amazing artists. So mm-hmm. it was just really good to do that show and to give it's more than just a concert because you're learning about the history of Los Angeles and
Mhm.
about how lots of Black people helped build certain musical communities in Los Angeles, especially the jazz scene.
Mhm.
So it was just an incredible thing. And so yeah, so now I have a few weeks off, and I'm just chilling right now, working on music and yeah, working on music and just waiting until I go back out on the road. So yeah.
Yeah. That sounds incredible. And so you're going to be hitting the road again with Postmodern Jukebox. Is that right?
Yeah, I leave September 9th,
Uh-huh.
and I'll be gone for about a month and a half, but we're going back overseas. I'm going to Israel, going to Budapest, I'm going to Rome, Spain. So I'm Germany. So I'm really, really, really excited to go over there. I've been there many times over before, but it's always good to go back and see old friends and go to different venues or the same venues and perform again. So it's going to be wonderful. One thing I am excited to do is go to Israel. That's the one place that I've never been to before. There's not many places on the planet I haven't been to, but
Mhm.
Israel is one of those places, and I'm so excited. We're going to Tel Aviv, so
Oh,
I'm
wow.
really excited to go out there and just have a good time.
Wow, what an incredible opportunity. That's amazing. I'm curious. I know we can get more into your musical journey in just a minute, but I'd love to hear more about your experience working with Postmodern Jukebox. How did that come to be, and what's it like working with them and being
Yeah.
on the road with them?
Well, it's been an incredible journey. I will be honest, it's a lot of hard work, but if you take care of yourself and don't party too hard, then you'll
Mhm.
be able to survive.
Yeah. Okay.
um, but I got started with Postmodern Jukebox. It all started when I had just moved back from living overseas. I had lived overseas for about 7, 8 years,
Mhm.
and when I lived in Japan for 4 years, and there was a musical director named Todd Schroeder who was also the musical director for my Motown show in Japan.
Mhm.
So I finished doing all that stuff overseas, which was wonderful. Then I came back to America, and about 2 years later, he hit me back and was like, "Hey, LaVance, are you in town?" And I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Well, I'm the musical director for Postmodern Jukebox. Do you know who they are?" And I was like, "No, who's that?" Because I've been living overseas forever, and I had never heard of him.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Well, I would love for you to come and audition for Scott Bradley, who is the creator of Postmodern Jukebox."
Mhm.
And we had the introduction at Todd Schroeder's house. So they gave me a whole script to read. I had to be like, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is LaVance Colley, and welcome to Scott Bradley," the whole thing. And then I had to sing "My Heart Will Go On" and some other songs. And they loved me, and they asked me to be the MC. And I believe that was in 2014 or 15, and I've been the MC of Postmodern Jukebox uh, ever since. And it's
Wow.
been a wonderful good look for me because no offense to background singing, because I love a good background. I started off as a background singer, and I'll never ever not want to do that.
Yeah.
But it really put me in the forefront. It forced me to be a leader and a lead singer, because I was the host of the whole show. We're performing in front of thousands of people,
Yeah.
every day. So it really taught me how to be a front man and a lead man. And so now I get lots and lots and lots of opportunities being a lead singer instead of just a background singer. So it just opened up so many doors for me, and I have fans all over the world.
Mhm.
And I've also gotten to meet some of the most amazing, incredible musicians, tap dancers, and singers in the world as well, because a lot of the other singers from Postmodern Jukebox were on like The Voice or American Idol or America's Got Talent. So
Mhm.
some of these singers are giving you showstopper vocals, and you're just like, what is going on in this show? So it's really, really, really incredible. And it's a lot of work. They have a hard schedule. I'm not even going to lie.
Mhm.
We do like 5 to 6 shows a week with one day off. So
Wow.
sometimes you're like, I'm tired, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm tired and vocally tired. But like I said, if you just chill, you'll make it. You'll make it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Postmodern Jukebox is great though.
Yeah. That must be a grueling schedule, but I'm sure it's the excitement kind of keeps you going, and just
Yeah,
the quality of the musicianship and the show itself is a good motivating factor, I'm sure.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all getting a glimpse of a very exciting life and career that you have. So take us back. Let's go back to your beginnings and tell us how music was ignited in your life? Are you coming from a musical family, and what has your journey looked like?
Well, I do come from a musical family. My mother sings. I have a twin sister, Hey Latrice, if you're watching, Hey Latrice.
Hi,
Um,
Latrice.
uh, I have a twin sister, and my whole family sings. My sister sings, my mom sings. My aunts and uncles sing, and I come from a family of pastors and preachers. I had like at least 3 people who are pastors in my family who have churches and everything. So I was very heavily in the church, in the gospel church world growing up. I loved gospel music. Like I lived, breathed it, ate it, drank it, everything. I wanted to be a gospel singer. I even kind of made a gospel album. You'll never hear it. Nobody will ever hear it. And that's how I got my start, was just with the love of gospel music. And I studied some of the greatest gospel singers alive and past. People like Daryl Colley, who everybody used to think I was related to Daryl Colley because we have the same last name, but we're not related. I wish, but so Daryl Colley, people like Daryl Colley, the Clark sisters, Karen Clark Sheard, CeCe Winans, Donnie McClurkin, the Hawkins family. It was just so many singers that I looked up to, and that helped me kind of hone my own style in a sense. But what really sent me over the edge was when well, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I started up a gospel singer, always singing in the church choirs, always singing on the praise and worship team, and just listening to gospel. People don't realize that as a gospel singer, or when you listen to gospel, you're getting a little bit of everything. You can get a little bit of jazz. You'll get a little bit of pop sometimes. Sometimes you get a little bit of rock and roll. So you don't realize that you're like shedding all these different genres.
Yeah.
To move on to different genres of music, if you're a singer, then it's kind of easier for you to mimic or do other styles because you kind of already learned it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. And so I was really grateful for that training. So then I started off as a background singer. I met this guy through this guy named, actually, he's now a really famous DJ. Come on, hey, Jay Mosky. We call him Jay Mosky. And he DJs for everybody now, for all over in the games and the house parties and celebrity party, everything. So I used to be his background singer, and I met him through church, and I was his only background singer, which is kind of cool. I don't know if it's really cool when you're like the only background singer. So you're not really the background singer, you're just like the lead background.
Yeah, you're like a feature guy.
Yeah. So at the time, Kenny Lattimore is a famous R&B singer from back in the day. He's still wonderful. He's still singing to this day, and he was his manager. And so we did a concert somewhere out in the IE where I'm from, and Kenny Lattimore came to the show, and I sang, did my thing with Jamal, and Kenny heard me and absolutely loved me, to the point where he asked me to come to his house and let his wife hear me sing. At the time, his wife was the legendary Shantae Moore. I don't know. She is. Shantae Moore is a beast. She's sang. And then whistle tone, she still got them whistle tones to this day. And so I went over to their house in Northridge and sang a gospel song for her. And after I finished singing, she was like, "Would you like to be my background singer?" Wow. And I was like, "Sure." I was so elated. I was so happy. And at that time, I sang soprano for her. So it was really cool to like be doing that. And it was my first major gig ever in my life. And our first gig was at the House of Blues in like New Orleans on Bourbon Street or something. It was just such an incredible time with them. And I wound up being their background singer for about three or 4 years. And then during that time, Kenny Lattimore also became my manager because he loved me so much as a vocalist that he wanted to try to represent me as an artist as well. Unfortunately, it didn't work out because at the time he was kind of he was still an artist doing his own thing. So it was kind of hard for him to manage being a manager and also a very popular, successful artist. So it didn't work out, but I still love him. We're still friends. I still talk with him. He's just great. He's a really good friend of mine. So I did that for 3 years. And during that time, they introduced me to a lot of the heavy hitters in the music industry, like musical directors like Ricky Minor. That's how I first met him. And then also just a lot of different people. I don't know if you know who Shanice Wilson. She has this song called back in the day. I like your smile.
Yes. Yep. I know it.
You know, they just introduced me to so many different people in the industry. And so my name started getting around. So I started getting a few other little gigs here and there, singing background for other people. And it was going really well. And then one day in I believe it was 2005. Yes, it was 2005. And I was about to turn 21. I had the opportunity to go overseas to Japan and sing out there at Universal Studios in Osaka. Wow. And so I decided to do it, and I wound up living in Japan for 4 years. And I was in a number of different tribute shows. I was in a Michael Jackson tribute show. I was on stage doing the moonwalk.
Nice.
You know, I was on stage doing all that stuff. And I did a Michael Jackson tribute show, a Beatles tribute show, a Motown tribute show, and then like some other like different types of tribute shows. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I absolutely love Japan. I'm so grateful to have said that I was able to like experience a different culture for so long, because Japan was the one place I lived the longest. Mm-hmm. So I do speak a little Japanese. P.S. I just want to put that out there. Konnichiwa, genki desu ka? Oh my gosh. But it was such a great experience. So then after I completed doing Japan stuff, I then became the lead singer of a cover band overseas called Express. And so we lived and sang at all of the Grand Hyatts and Shangri-Las and all the like the 5-star hotels overseas. Mm-hmm. And that's how I got my chops up with, because every night we were doing 6 nights a week, 1 day off, 4 sets a night. Mm-hmm. And then in our breaks, we didn't even have a back room. They actually made us go into the audience and talk to the guests.
Oh, geez.
So I know it was a lot. It was a lot, but it also just taught me how to like talk to people. And you know, these were like high rollers too. These weren't just like regular, you know, average people. They were all millionaires and billionaires and stuff. And so, you know, I'm walking to the table. They want to chat with me. They want to give me shots of tequila. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want no more shots. And it's like rude to like not accept the shot. So like every night I was kind of getting drunk every night, just a little bit. Just
start throwing it over your shoulder.
So, but it was a wonderful experience with that. And then after I did that, I well, that's how I got my chops up. That's how I learned all my cover band songs. That's how I learned all the big roster of songs that I know, was from doing that, you know. And I didn't realize that later on that would help me tremendously. So I did that, and then I also and then also I started singing on cruise ships. I did all the stereotypical stuff, you know, that you do when you're young as a singer. I did the cruise ships, I did the theme parks, and then so it was great. With the cruise ship, I was able to travel all over the world, and I was in a number of different shows, and that was fun. Cruise ship life. I felt when I did the cruise ship, I was like, okay, LaVance, you did 2 8-month contracts living on a boat, and your career is going like this. I felt like my career was starting to become a little stagnant. I didn't feel like I was rising. And I always knew that God blessed me with an extraordinary talent. So I was like, I need to make sure I am using it properly and in the right places. So that's when I decided to move back to America and move back to LA and really get my career going in the LA scene. So when I moved back and that was in 2012. So all this from 2005, basically all the way to 2012, or a little longer, then I moved back to America. And then it was like 2 years, I was like, oh my God, I was so, you know, when you live overseas for a long time and everything's just given to you, like free food, free this, you don't realize you take so much for granted. I remember when I walked into a store and I was buying groceries and I didn't even know what to buy. I was like, well, what can I? Because I was always getting room service. I was always getting this, that. So it was like I was kind of living a crazy little, like I don't know. I had to come back to earth. It was a very fun experience. And then I currently live in North Hollywood. And when I moved back to Los Angeles in 2012, I also was living in North Hollywood. And so I got this expensive apartment that I did not know. I did not know it was going to be this expensive in LA. I just thought I was going to be set. You know what I'm saying? And then I was trying to be proactive before I moved back to the States by calling different people and hitting them up and being like, yo, I'm coming back. So if you need me for work, because, you know, I started off as a singer. So I met all these people. So it was so funny because like when I moved back, people were like, as soon as the airplane lands, you better call me. And I'm like, oh my God, okay.
Well, it's going to be fine.
Yeah. I get back here and it was drier than the desert. It was so dry. And and honestly, at the time, I'm very, very different now. But at the time, I didn't come back with a lot of money saved because I was out there partying, living my best life, and it was great. But so I was just like, oh my God, I need to like get like a job. So then I became a Uber driver. And at the time, that's when Uber had just came out. So they weren't taking a high percentage. They were only taking like 5 or 10% of your thing. So I was making like $1,000 a week or something. Like I was making like buku money without having to work as long of hours as Uber drivers have to do now, because now Uber takes like 35% or something crazy. Anyways,
wow,
that's a whole other show for a whole other thing. So I became an Uber driver, and then I started working for TaskRabbit, and I just started like just doing like regular life stuff, you know. But then I always knew that it was going to be temporary, so I would always go to like the open mics, and this is all before COVID. So these were the things to do, you know. So I would go to the open mic and I would sing and I would try to meet people and try to network, and you know, and I would slowly just meet people, and my name would start to get out there. And it just slowly I started getting, and then that's what I was gonna say. I was talking to a friend and I was like, man, what can I do for work out here? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm trying to get gigs, but you know, it's really slow. And they were like, well, have you ever thought about singing in a cover band? And I was like, I sang in a bunch of cover bands for over a year overseas. They did not realize that I didn't even know they had cover bands, things like that in LA, because I started off doing it overseas. So I was like, oh my God. So then I just started sending my information out to all the cover band people. I was talking to people like, who's this person? Who's to know? Who's a cover band? And people hired me immediately. And I was just so grateful because it was just like, you know, and the ball started rolling with that. And then I would meet people in cover band. You know, some of the biggest gigs I ever got in my career have been from singing in cover bands. And I know a lot of people want to, you know, shame people for being a cover band singer. You know, I don't technically like being a cover band singer either. Like, it's not like I want to go there and sing at everybody's wedding, everyone's, you know what I'm saying? But it's a steady work. And when you're not working, it's something to do and make a cute little check on, you know? Yeah. And so, like, for example, when I did the John Legend, I don't know if you know this, but I worked with John Legend, and I am on his entire Christmas album called A Legendary Christmas.
Wow.
So we recorded how many songs? We recorded 13 songs in 2 days.
Whoa.
Yes. It was crazy. And John was the nicest guy. He was so professional, so polite. He even came in the booth with me and did some of the backgrounds. I'm standing like this close to John, like,
wow.
And I'm like, this is incredible. And I got that from a guy named Jamel, who he hit me up one day and he was like, hey, LaVance, what you doing? I'm like, hey, who is this? I don't know who this is. So he's like, oh, this is Jamel. I don't know if you remember me, but we played in a cover band 2 years ago. I'm a trumpet player.
Wow, a trumpet player.
Yeah. Like, I'm putting together a band. I'm putting together a band, or we need some singers for an album that's being created. And I was like, oh, who's the artist? He's like, John Legend. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he's like, and also, can you bring some singers with you? And I was like, oh, sure. So I know a bunch of girl singers out here in LA. Yeah. So I hit my girl at Brianna, and I also hit up my other girlfriend, Cy Smith, who I talked about earlier. Yeah. And it was just incredible. And we did all the songs, and it was a wonderful experience. And the album came out great. It should have won a Grammy, but it didn't. Unfortunately, he won Elvis Castillo. Am I saying it right? Elvis Costello. Elvis Costello. He won over John. I think that was John got robbed. Nothing against Elvis. It's the fact that his album wasn't a Christmas album. John Legend's album was like, why are they even in the same?
Right. Yeah. They seem like
best Christmas album for I don't know. Anyways. So So, but yeah, so that was one of my gigs that I got from a cover band. Also, when I sang with Shawn Mendes, I got that from a cover band. When I did something else, I got some major gig I got from a cover band. It's just always been like these corporate events, and then next thing you know, it's like someone's like, "Are you available for this?" And it turns into this big thing, you know.
Mhm.
And so, yeah. So wait, so I did that. John Legend. So I did cover band, John Legend. Yeah. So I did that, and then. And then during that time, it also was when I was still touring with Postmodern Jukebox. So in between that, I was still traveling overseas and then coming back home and then going back overseas and then coming back home and then doing the United States and then coming back home. It was a lot, but I was just so grateful to just continuously be working, you know?
Yeah.
And so, uh, I did that, came back overseas, then I started touring Postmodern Jukebox, and I was like, okay. So many things. And then Cy Smith, it referred me for this company with music, which is the show I just did last Saturday. You know, so it's all about like word of mouth and people just referring you, and that's why it's very important for you to have a good reputation in this industry, because you can be the best singer in the world, but if you have an attitude or if you're hard to work with, then people aren't going to hire you. And I'm very fortunate to have a very good reputation. I'm sure not everybody likes me, whatever, but like 90% of the people is like, oh, LaVance is cool. Not only is he a talented singer, but he's also a very cool person to be around.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just grateful for the career that I've been given. I know a lot of people can't say that they're a full-time singer doing all these great things, but I'm singing full-time. That's all I do. Sessions, you know, all that stuff. Oh, and then so I'm trying to it's just so much. So 2020. So I'm all this time.
Oh yeah, that year.
Yeah. Right. So I was blessed with the amazing opportunity to, and I'm pretty sure I skipped some stuff in the past, but whatever. I'm sure I was blessed with the amazing opportunity to join Cirque du Soleil and join Cirque du Soleil in a completely brand new show that they were creating. Even the show that was created around my voice type of stuff. It was such an incredible experience. And so it was going to be like a kind of like a forever gig. Like they give you 2-year contract increments. But so I was living in Los Angeles and I moved out. I got rid of my apartment because I'm living in LA and I'm going to be gone for at least 2 years. So why have an apartment? So I got rid of my apartment and everything. And I moved to Montreal. We're having rehearsals. I moved January 12th. And everything was great. I got my dream job. I've always wanted to work with Cirque du Soleil. I first discovered Cirque du Soleil in Japan. And it was one of the most incredible things I had ever seen in my life. So ever since then, I had always been trying to get into Cirque because of the show I saw in Japan. And so I finally got in and everything's going great. We're having rehearsals. And for 3 months, we were having rehearsals at the headquarters in Montreal. And then we finally moved to what they call the big top or the big tent.
Yeah.
And so we had our first rehearsal at the tent. And immediately right after that rehearsal, they had an emergency meeting and fired us all. Well, I don't want to say they fired us all because they said, we're going to let you guys go temporarily for like a week or two because of COVID. So everybody's like, oh, we'll be back in a week. Oh, just a week. Okay. Like whatever, vacation. You know?
Yeah. Right.
And a week turned into a whole 2 years, you know? Yeah. And so because I had gotten rid of my apartment, I didn't have a place to live. So I was homeless. I wasn't broke. I was just homeless. You know, if that makes any sense.
Which is worse.
Right. So I was like, well, since I'm only having like 2 weeks off, you know, I'm gonna go back to Cirque or whatever. You know, why don't I just go stay and spend some time with, you know, my mom in Colorado? So I go to Colorado Springs, and I want my mom out there. It winds up being good. I wound up staying with my mom for 4 months. And I was like, okay, I love you, mom, and Latrice, but I got to go now. Yeah. So I ended up going to Chicago and living with my friend out there, who's also an incredible singer, Melody Betts. Shout out to Melody Betts. Also, Melody Betts is now on The Wiz, that's about to be on Broadway. She's playing Evelyn and Aunt May. Oh, wow. And you can say that because she posted it online. Anyways, so, so I I'm in Chicago living with my friend Melody, and I get a call from a friend named Jared Johnson, who is looking for a singer to do this demo for him because it was too high for his register.
Mhm.
So I said yes. I did the demo and I sent it off to this girl who was in charge of the whole thing, and she heard my demo and she absolutely loved it. I also added some cute little backgrounds and some extra stuff just to be like whatever. And so she hit me back and was like, "Who are you?" Um, and she was like, "Let me introduce myself to you. My name is Jessica Cole, and I own a company in Los Angeles called Lyric House, which is one of the biggest sync licensing companies in all of LA and a lot of them and some of America too. It's a very, very big company." And so
Mhm.
she was like, "Do you write? Do you arrange?" I was like, "Yeah, actually I do." And so she wound up signing me to her company. And
Wow.
I would have never thought it was something that I never thought would ever happen to me. I always thought about getting into the sync world, but I never really thought hard about it because I was just so busy always performing live. I was always gone. I was always on tour. So that was kind of what I was used to. So I never thought I would be getting like placements and stuff.
Mhm.
So I joined Lyric House, and then within a month of joining them, I got my first placement. And I think it was on TNT, and I was so grateful, and it was a cute little check. And so ever since then, I basically joined Lyric House November 1st of 2020, and since from November 1st to around now, I probably got around 40 to 50 placements, which is
Wow.
which is a lot, which is a
Mhm.
lot. I'm really grateful. And because I don't know how much people place because I once again I was new to the world, so I don't know what the average person places. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Within 2 years, you get like 40 to 50. That's a really good. That's really good for me.
Yeah.
So I was so grateful because I'm I also was thinking about my longevity as a touring artist because I'm starting to get older now and I don't necessarily always want to be on the road. And
Mhm.
so it was such a great way to be like, okay, so once I'm ready to really stop being on the road, I can really just fully do sync licensing and music and get it placed and not have to worry about, oh, I need to be on the road for 6 months when I can make that from a 4-hour session the same
Yes.
amount.
Mhm.
So I'm just grateful because these gigs, these things that happen to me, it's not like I'm going around like, oh, I need to get a gig. I need to
Yeah.
do this. It's just been like referrals or word of mouth or just something. I don't know, this God, I guess. And
Yeah.
so I'm really grateful. So I've been with Lyric House now. So I'm still with Lyric House. I'm still getting placements. One of my songs just became for one of my songs called "I'm Here" was the theme song for HBO Max this last
Wow.
Pride that just
Uh-huh.
happened. And this is the second time in a row. It was my other song, Brand New Day, was the theme song last year for the whole month of Pride. And then now another song, was my another theme
That's
song.
incredible.
So I've just been getting placements and then doing live shows. And yeah, it's just been great. I'm trying to think what else. But yeah, that's kind of been my journey from since a kid all the way until now.
Yeah. Yeah. The way you describe your journey is it seems so effortless and like you've just got the Midas touch, when it comes to just like these golden opportunities just landing. And we all know that that's not really how it happens. That
Yeah.
there's so much effort that goes into it. But what do you attribute your success to? What is it that you have within you that ushers in all of these opportunities?
I feel like for me, it's a combination of purpose, knowing my purpose, and
Mhm.
also being driven to succeed in my purpose because I'm very lucky to know that I came from a family of singers and I always knew since I was a child that I wanted to be a singer.
Yeah.
I always knew it. And that's all I did. I always studied, I always practiced, I always studied the great singers, the jazz, everything that I could study, I studied it. And
Mhm.
and so I don't, it's a combination of preparation and practice.
Yeah.
And because preparation, practice, and purpose, I knew my purpose and I always practiced so I was always prepared when these opportunities came to me.
Mhm.
And also I really attribute it to me learning how to blend different styles, because people do, I guess, do see me as like a gospel as singer, but I sing a lot more than gospel. I have many different styles. I can sing different styles. I can straight up sing opera and sound like a legit opera singer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I attribute that from when I was living overseas. You know, when I lived overseas, I was enthralled in a bunch of different cultures, a bunch of different sounds, a bunch of different musical genres. For example, when I was doing my show in Japan, they had a 30-minute condensed version of Wicked, a Japanese version of Wicked, that Stephen Schwartz actually approved and came and helped put the show together and everything. Wow. And I became friends with a lot of the singers out there. I've always kind of liked musical theater, but out there is when I really like discovered like musical theater. So I did musical theater. I listened to a lot of the like Judy Garlands and the Linda Edders and Barbara Streisand. I just listened to so many different styles, and I tried to like emulate all these styles. And then I started listening to Celtic music, and then I would go from Celtic to Enya, like, you know, because I liked harmonies and I liked melodies, and so I've always just been enthralled with that. So I think it's just, for me, it was just a love of music and always knowing that I was meant to sing. And honestly, I didn't know what else I would be doing. I don't know what other, besides singing, I don't know what else I would do. So I think that attributes it. And me just being nice. Just being a nice person, and people gonna be like, we like LaVance and he can sing his butt off. Let's call him, you know, where he at, you know? So
yeah, it's incredibly true. I make this statement on this show and with my singers all the time, is that people hire people they like, that they like to be around, that they like to work with, that they can trust, and that, you know, they can count on, you know, to show up, do a good job, and, you know, do the homework. And, you know, you can't ever look at it as if you're doing people a favor by being on their show with them. You know, you've really got to show up and be ready, you know, and be cool, be a good hang. And it's really critical.
And knowing how to work under pressure, because sometimes, or for example, I didn't mention this, but you know, I sing on The Voice, and I also sing on Dancing with the Stars, or I used to sing on Dancing with the Stars, but it was a great experience. Really, it could be stressful at times because you're dealing with, especially Dancing with the Stars, like your call time is like 5 a.m. ready to sing by 5:45 a.m. to practice with the dancers. And then after you practice with the dancers and the stand-ins for the celebrities, then the celebrities come in, and then you practice and sing again with the celebrities and the dancers. And you do that over and over and over. Mind you, the show is not till like 6, 7 o'clock at night. So by the time it's time for you to literally sing live, all the way live, you're like, oh my God, is my voice like, you know, you're like, oh my God, like that's a very stressful, strenuous show. You know, it's fun, but you know, but learning how to work under that type of pressure and to always be on and to be ready and to be alert, and you know, the cues, you have to know the cues because it's literally live. So if you mess up, you just don't mess up. You just don't.
It's not going to happen.
Guess what? If you mess up and then you mess up like the celebrity who's dancing, they're gonna be mad. The musical director's gonna be mad at you, and they're gonna be like, "Who? That singer missed the part. He was supposed to sing this, but you know, you didn't do that. That's not what we rehearsed." You know, they'll blame it on you. You know? And it kind of might be your fault. Sometimes it ain't, but sometimes it might be your fault. You know, so it's like always just being prepared and being alert and being ready and being professional and not taking your baggage to work, not taking your problems to work. You go to work, do your job, and then you leave. You know, so yeah.
That is super important. I know you've got to be very responsible for the way you show up and the energy that you bring into a situation, because, you know, as creatives, like we have our, well, just as humans, we have our moods, we have our things that are going on in our personal lives and everything. But as performers, you just cannot show up with that. You know, it's really singularly your job is to bring the magic, you know, to bring the feelings and everything. And it's just, I think when you get there to the performance, it's time to show up and be an actor if you have to, you know.
Fake it. If you ain't happy, fake it like you're happy. Just don't. Nobody cares, because nobody cares. It sucks because sometimes you want a shoulder to cry on.
For sure.
But on those types of gigs, nope.
Yeah, it's not the time or place.
Call a therapist. You better call a therapist.
I love it. Well, you've mentioned several times just your along your journey, the fact that you have studied, so many different genres and great artists, and that's really developed your chops, and you really called out doing the cover band thing. And I wanted to kind of step back to that because you made an important point about how having to learn all of these different songs, how that really develops your voice and your unique sound. I had this great conversation with Dorian Hawley.
Oh, I love him. That's my brother.
Yes. He had told me that he has this list that he has kind of curated over the years of his career. And it's just, I have the list, and it is as random as could possibly be. It's every genre, every artist, some one-hit wonders, this and that. But he says that when he is mentoring a singer, he tells them, you need to learn every song on this list and emulate it exactly like the original artist. Because essentially what that does down the line is it helps you to unlock every gear your voice has, every nuance, every color, and then that gives you the ability as an artist to cherry pick the sounds that you like and what really feels right for you as an artist. And that's just one of the greatest pieces of advice or lessons that I've learned and have experienced in my own career being, working in cover bands as well.
You're absolutely right, because for example, like sometimes I can emulate people very well. Not everybody, depending on the tone and stuff, but certain vibratos and certain things I can emulate. And that was all from just practicing from all these different musical genres I would listen to. And I'm like, how does that person's vibrato sound like that? How does that person's tone? Why does this person sound bright and this person sounds more muffled? And I would really study them and try to like emulate that sound. And then once I started developing my own sound, because I had so much knowledge of all those other people, I was able to create my own sound. I was listening to Indian music, Celtic, like just anything that was different and unique. One of my favorite singers who I still listen to this day, her name is Katie Noonan. And when I was living in Japan, my next door neighbor was from Australia, and he introduced me to her. She's an Australian artist from, I believe, Sydney, and her voice, she kind of has like an Evanescence vibe with her. Maybe not anymore Evanescence, but back in the day, she used to be in this band called George, and she had like this light, ethereal, almost operatic, airy, beautiful voice, whistle tones, but then she would sing over like rock music, and it was the most beautiful. I would just listen to her for hours on end and just be like, oh, I was just enthralled with her. So I was like, how do you do that? How do you do this? And then when I was doing the background singing for different artists, I was like, perfect example, Shantae Moore. Shantae has a very airy voice when she wants to. It's such a beautiful tone. And so I had to learn how to be more airy in my sound. My natural voice isn't as airy. My voice is more like a pure CeCe Winans-esque sound. It's not as airy. It's more just pure tone, And so I always wanted an airy voice. Side note, I've always wanted like an airy voice, but that's just not what the voice that was given to me. So anytime I do give the air, I don't want to say it's forced, but it's just something that I've learned how to be like, instead of be like, So, but yeah, so all those different styles, just studying music and just really learning my craft helped me to really develop my sound.
Yeah. One of our listeners, Greg, is saying he bets that you do Al Jarreau incredibly well. Do you sing any Al Jarreau?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Let's Stay Together. Oh, come on now. That's my jam.
It's funny.
All the time.
I just this Sunday was a part of a church service that was centered around the whole theme was Al Jarreau music. And the singer that they had come as the guest artist was incredible. But we got the message was really based off of the life, that he led and the influence that he had in this space. So it's interesting that question came up. Who are some of your other favorites? Who are some artists who I know as singers, we're constantly having to learn music. So we're having to listen to stuff that we may not necessarily want to listen to all the time, but just have to do that. When you're not in that situation, what are some of your go-tos that you can never get tired of?
I love me some. Well, I still listen to CeCe Winans. I just love me some CeCe. I don't listen to her as much. I have to be in the gospel mood. Sometimes I'm in the mood for gospel, and then sometimes I'm in the mood for some good old secular. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I listen to CeCe. I love listening to Karen Clark on the gospel side. I love Donnie McClurkin. I love listening to his background singers. Oh my God. I don't know if you know who Donnie McClurkin is, but his background singers are the best. He just, I wanted to sing background for Donnie McClurkin so bad when I was a kid. Kiara Sheard, I'm listening to her. Okay, the secular side, I'm listening to Janelle Monáe, that new Pleasure, Era of Pleasure or something like that. I think that's the title of her album. So good. And I also used to love her old album, the Archandroid album, where the tightrope came. High on low, you gotta do when I tell you her music used to send me to a faraway land. I used to ride my little bike in Japan in the streets, and I would just have my little earphones in, and I would just be listening to Janelle Monáe. And it was like I felt like I was transported back to my childhood where my brain went away with music. And that doesn't happen a lot anymore as much as I want it to, because like you said, we're listening to music all the time. But Janelle Monáe, who else? I like Victoria Monet. I like who's out that I'm listening to? Melvin Crispell, who is an amazing singer. Oh my gosh. Who else? There's a new guy that's out. London. October London.
Okay.
London. He kind of sounds like Marvin Gaye.
Okay.
They call him the new Marvin Gaye. He's being represented by Snoop Dogg.
Oh yes. Yep. I have heard him. I know who you're talking about.
Is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. But that's who I'm listening to. I'm trying to think some other ones. Oh, I love Emile LaRue. I listen to her a lot. I like to listen to old school artists sometimes. I'm always listening to like the old school, Like the other day I was listening to Pure Love from the Back to the Middle and Around Again. I'm gonna be there.
Oh yeah.
Like sometimes I go there. I'm like, let's go back to the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
That's a good little list.
Yeah, I think your Spotify list is probably a lot like mine, where if anyone were to look at it, they'd be like, huh?
Yes. All over the place.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. So you mentioned you are between tours with Postmodern Jukebox. So you just got done with this project with music, right? And so you're chilling a little bit. What does your life look like outside of music? What do you enjoy doing that is not singing related?
I love going to the movies.
Oh, I love that too.
I love spending my money on movies. Sometimes I'm like, why don't you get a pass? You get like 4 free movies a month or something. I'm like, I need to look into that. Anyways, I love horror movies. I love going to see a good horror movie. I plan on going to see Insidious soon, so let's see if that's good. Oh my God. I went to the movies 2 days ago and I saw a theater camp.
Theater camp.
Girl. Okay. Ben Platt and I forgot who the other character. That when I tell you that's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. If you are a theater person or have any type of a singer, anything, it's more than just a theater. It is. I'm not even joking. I have never laughed so much in my entire life in a movie.
Oh my gosh!
The movie theater was filled with just we went to AMC, me and my friend Tia, and they were just filled with, like, you could tell everybody was musical or in theater or in some kind of like musical entertainment world, and everybody got all the jokes. I highly recommend. I'm not trying to do a plug for that movie, but it was so funny. To me, it was one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Crying, I with tears upon it. It was nonstop laughter. Like, you have to go see that movie, and then you'll be like, LaVance, you're absolutely right.
I love Ben Platt, so I definitely have to check that out.
What else do I do? I like to exercise. That's another thing I want to talk about is exercise. It's important to keep your health. good, especially if you're going to be a touring artist,
Yeah.
because it's really hard. And unfortunately for me, I wasn't taking as good care of my health as I should have, so I gained a few pounds. But
Mhm.
I have been now, since I've been back in the gym consistently. I go to Orange
Mhm.
Theory, and I love that place. And I've lost like 15 to 20 pounds so far.
Wow. Good for
And
you.
so I've just been like in the gym, like
Mhm.
literally, look, you want to see the secret? Sweet greens.
Oh.
I eat sweet greens all the time because I'm like, if I'm going to spend money on food, I might as well spend it on healthy food, you know?
Yeah.
So I've just been like eating really good smoothies, salads, and the weight has just been falling off. So that's what I do a lot when I'm home, going to the movies,
Mhm.
working out a lot, hanging out with my friends. I like to go to my friends' houses and just have like some wine and just talk and just hang out. I'm not really a clubber. Every now and then I will go out to the club and
Mhm.
party, but I like to go to musical events usually. I like to hear good singing. So if somebody invites me
Yeah.
out to like a little show or something, I might go if I'm not busy. And uh I think that's it. I'm kind of boring. I'm kind of boring.
Your life sounds good to me. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, gosh, this has been amazing getting to know you better and like hearing about your journey. Like I said, when you describe things, it just seems like you had this like effortless, you know, list of opportunities that have just
Yeah.
dropped in your lap, and I of course know that so
Mhm,
much hard work has
mhm.
gone into
Yeah.
what you've done and so much dedication and time,
Mhm.
and you're really an inspiration, and I know that everybody listening will feel the same way. um, for those times that were not as effortless, the more challenging times, those that space between all of the golden opportunities, um, what is it that has made you unstoppable?
Man. You know what? It's so funny because a lot of people tell me what you have just said. A lot of people, my friend just had a conversation with me the other day, and she was like, "LaVance, you work so hard." She was like, "You have work to get to where you are." And sometimes it doesn't feel like that for me because
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like work. You know, when you do what you love, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like you're working. And so sometimes I'm like, did I? Sometimes I feel like I didn't work hard enough. I know
Mhm.
that's weird to say, but like sometimes I'm like, I'm not working hard enough. So when I'm chilling too much at home, I'm like, no, you need to do something, you know? But I've always had just this drive. I don't maybe it was a God-given thing, but I just it was just because I always knew that I was going to be a singer. And I
Mhm.
always just never stopped. I just
Mhm.
never stopped, almost to a detriment. Like I lived overseas for 7, 8 years and sang straight for 7, 8 years. Then moved back to America, started singing in America, and then joined the Postmodern Jukebox and then toured all over. So sometimes I was like, I need to like take a break really fast because I feel like I was burning myself out because I was just
Yeah.
going, going, going. And I don't know where the drive came from. I just always felt that God blessed me with a great gift, and I always wanted people to hear it, no matter where
Yeah.
it was. Even when I was working for TaskRabbit, for example, I I was in this girl's house helping her pack and move her furniture. Somehow I started singing and she's like, "Oh, you're a singer?" She's like, "My husband is a producer." She brings her producer over. He has a whole studio. I start recording in his studio in his house. And then they send that video of me singing with this producer to the headquarters of TaskRabbit. And they loved it and put it on their website and all the stuff and gave me like Tasker of the Month.
Oh my gosh.
Even in my regular life, I was always still singing. Even as an Uber driver, I was always still singing,
Yeah.
so I just I don't know. I don't know where this drive came from. I don't know why. I just knew that God blessed me with an extreme talent and I need to do whatever it is I can to let the world hear it as much as I can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that makes sense to me. Just having that natural drive within yourself, but that for you, hand in hand, has been with
Mhm.
a very clear vision and knowing of what your purpose is.
Mhm.
And that makes
Yeah.
so much sense to me.
Yeah.
And just kind of holding on to that belief, even when you're not singing, but
Yeah.
having that knowing that it's still connected,
Yeah.
being an Uber driver, doing TaskRabbit and everything, it's ultimately supporting what it is you love to do, and
Mhm.
just kind of just showing up with that spirit, and then the things that led to for you as well.
Yeah.
Really incredible.
Thank you.
Aw, it was wonderful getting to talk to you. I'm so grateful that you're willing to come on and chat with me. I'm putting links to your socials in
Yes.
the comments. Where's the best place for everybody to check you out?
Instagram, follow me on my Instagram or Twitter, but it's Instagram. It's
Yeah.
Instagram. Going ahead, everything's on there. You can watch all the videos. You can watch the videos from my past show I just did on Sunday, which was absolutely amazing. And
Yeah.
also you can watch videos from the future shows I'll be doing, especially when I leave in September to go on tour with PMJ. So it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Well,
Follow
if
me.
you're listening and you're not familiar with LaVance's work yet, I definitely encourage you to check out his videos. His voice is insane.
Oh,
So we've
can I say
gotten to
one
hear
thing?
the story, but
Also, I have some songs out too. I have one of my songs is out right now called My People that got placed for Black History Month in some commercial. I honestly don't remember what it was for, but I have a few singles out. So if you just type in LaVance Colley on Spotify and or Apple Music on all the music streaming platforms, just type my name in and just like take a listen to my music. So
I
yeah,
love it. You're going to be playing in our house tonight.
yay!
Yes. Thank you so much, LaVance. Thanks for everybody that joined us live. I will be back here next Wednesday with another inspiring singer, but I will give you back your evening to enjoy, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much, LaVance.
Thank you, Danielle.